everyone. Welcome back to True Horror Stories Film. Before we begin tonight's tale, I just want to say, I am deeply grateful for all of you who spend your nights with me, listening to these stories. Let's reach 1,000 before Christmas. Hit subscribe, and comment where you're watching from. Your support is what keeps this channel alive, and I'd love to hear from you. Tell me where you're listening from, what time it is where you are, and which story kept you awake the longest. Now, settle in, turn off the lights, and let's begin.
I built a career teaching people how to find inner peace. 50,000 followers, brand partnerships, retreat bookings 6 months out. I had everything I thought I wanted. Now, I cannot close my eyes without seeing them, all those peaceful faces, floating just beneath the surface, waiting for me to join them. My name, it doesn't matter anymore. What matters is that I am telling you this as a warning, because if someone had warned me, really warned me, maybe I would have listened. Maybe I would not have gotten on that plane to Thailand. Maybe I would still be able to sleep without waking up in poses I did not choose to do. But I'm getting ahead of myself. 6 months ago, I quit my marketing job to become a full-time wellness influencer, and I know how that sounds. Trust me, I know. But I was good at it. I had been practicing yoga for 8 years, teaching for 3. My content was authentic, at least. That is what I told myself. Morning flows on my apartment balcony. Sunset meditations in the park. Smoothie recipes that actually tasted good. And the algorithm, it loved me for about 3 months. Then it stopped. My engagement dropped. New followers slowed to a trickle, and brand deals dried up. I was burning through my savings, and the panic was setting in. I needed something big, something viral, something that would make people stop scrolling and pay attention. That is when I saw the story about Kamila Bilyatskaya. She was a 24-year-old Russian actress swept away while doing yoga on the rocks in Koh Samui, Thailand. The news article showed the spot, this beautiful rocky outcrop extending into the turquoise sea, waves crashing dramatically around it. The photos of her final moments, posted to her own social media just minutes before she vanished, showed her in a perfect tree pose, sunrise painting the sky behind her. Most people saw tragedy, but I saw content. I know how that sounds. I know what that makes me. But I was desperate. And desperation makes you rationalize things you should not rationalize. I told myself I would do it safely. I told myself I would show people the right way to practice in these locations. I told myself I was providing a service, educating my audience. I booked a flight within 48 hours. The moment I landed in Thailand, something felt off. Not wrong exactly, just different. The humidity was thick, yes, but it was more than that. The air felt heavy, with something I could not name. At baggage claim, my phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. Just 2 words. Turn back. I deleted it. Probably just a wrong number, or some kind of scam. My hotel was a small resort about 3 kilometers from the infamous spot. When I checked in, the woman at the front desk was friendly, until I mentioned where I planned to go. Lion Beach. Her smile disappeared. No, miss, not there. Many other beautiful beaches. I show you map. I specifically want to go there, I said. For yoga, I am very experienced. She looked at me for a long moment, then said something in Thai under her breath. She handed me my key and turned away. No more smiles. No more helpfulness. That first night I slept poorly. I kept dreaming of water, of being underwater but able to breathe, of voices calling my name in languages I did not speak. When I awoke, there was sand in my bed, even though I had showered before sleeping. Probably tracked in on my feet, I told myself. I set my alarm for 5 in the morning. For golden hour. It waits for no one. The beach was deserted when I arrived, just before dawn. The sky was that deep blue that comes right before sunrise. Stars still visible but fading. I walked along the shore until I found the rocks, and I recognized them immediately from Camilla's photos. They extended about 15 feet into the water, creating a natural platform, maybe 6 feet above the waves. And there were offerings everywhere. Flowers, most of them wilted. Candles burned down to nubs. Small bowls of fruit, rotten in the tropical heat. Incense sticks planted in the cracks between rocks. Photos of Camilla, laminated and tied to the rocks with string. Some of the photos showed other people too. Other practitioners I did not recognize. I should have asked myself why there were so many offerings, why so many photos of different people. But I did not. I just thought about how atmospheric it would look in my content. I set up my phone on its tripod, framed the shot perfectly, the rocks, the offerings, the lightning sky. I started recording. "Good morning, beautiful souls," I said to the camera, my yoga teacher voice smooth and calm. "Today I am coming to you from Koh Samui, Thailand, from a place that has recently been in the news, and I want to talk about safety, about respect, and about how we can honor both our practice and the power of nature." I moved into my first pose, a simple mountain pose, grounding myself, and that is when I heard it. A humming, low, resonant, almost like the sound of a singing bowl, but deeper. It seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere, from the rocks beneath my feet, from the water, from the air itself. I paused, listening. Then I laughed at myself. It was just the wind moving through the rocks, or the particular frequency of the waves. Natural acoustics? It actually added to the ambience. I continued my flow. 20 minutes later, when I checked the footage, something was wrong with the timestamp. My phone said I had been recording for 43 minutes, but I had only been there for 20, maybe 25 at most. I watched the video. It showed all 20 minutes of my practice, and then 23 minutes of me standing completely still on the rocks, staring out at the water. I did not remember standing still. I did not remember staring. I told myself the timestamp must have glitched. I went back the next morning. The humming was there again, but this time it sounded almost rhythmic, like chanting in a language I could not quite identify. I ignored it. I set up my camera. I practiced. This time I noticed the temperature drop. Right in the middle of my warrior two, the air went cold. Not cool, not breezy, cold, like someone had opened a freezer door. I could see my breath for just a moment. Then it was gone, and the tropical heat returned. In my peripheral vision, I thought I saw something move, a shadow where no shadow should be. When I turned to look, there was nothing, just the empty beach, the rocks, the water. But when I reviewed the footage later, I saw her for the first time. In the background of one shot, just for a moment, there was a woman standing in the surf, wearing white. Her form was blurry, like she was out of focus, even though everything else in the frame was crystal clear. And she was doing yoga, a perfect warrior one, facing the shore, facing me. I zoomed in on my phone, trying to see her face. The image was too pixelated, but something about her posture, her build, it looked familiar, like looking in a mirror. But the reflection was slightly delayed. I went back on the third morning. I do not know why I should have stopped, should have been freaked out. But the content, it was performing well. My engagement was up 30%. Comments were flooding in. People were fascinated by the location, by the story, by the atmosphere I was creating. A supplement company had reached out about a potential partnership. This was exactly what I needed. So, I went back. The offerings had grown. More flowers. Fresher this time. More candles, still burning. Even though I had been there at dawn, and it was not even 6 in the morning yet. Who was lighting these candles? I set up my camera and the humming started immediately. Louder now. I could almost make out words in it. Almost, but not quite. Like hearing a conversation through a wall, understanding the rhythm, but not the meaning. I moved to my son's salutation, down into forward fold, hands flat on the rock. That is when I felt it. The rock was vibrating. Not from the waves. This was different. It pulsed like a heartbeat, steady and slow. So I lifted my hands. The vibration stopped. I put them back down. It started again. My phone was recording. I was probably imagining it. Probably just my own pulse, my hands pressed flat, feeling my own heartbeat through the stone. I moved into downward dog, and the humming grew louder. I could feel it in my chest now, vibrating in my ribs, like I was standing next to a massive speaker. But there was no speaker. There was nothing except me, the rocks, and the breaking dawn. That is when I smelled it. Flowers, sweet and cloying, but underneath that, something else. Something organic and wrong. Like flowers left too long in water starting to rot. Like the incense had mixed with something dead. I opened my eyes. She was there. Not blurry this time, not in the background. She was standing 10 feet away from me, ankle deep in the surf. And she was real. Or she looked real. She wore a white dress that moved in a wind I could not feel. Her hair was long and dark, floating around her shoulders like she was underwater. She was doing yoga. Her form was perfect, better than perfect. She moved from warrior two into triangle pose with a grace that was almost inhuman, each transition flowing like water. For a moment, I forgot to be afraid. I just watched, mesmerized by her technique. Then she turned to face me. Her face was beautiful, young, maybe mid-20s, high cheekbones, full lips. But her eyes were empty. Not figuratively empty. Not the empty of someone disconnected or dissociated. Actually empty. Where her eyes should have been were just dark voids. Like looking into deep water at night. No reflection. No light. Nothing. And she was smiling. She raised one arm slowly, pointing past me, out toward the deeper water. I turned to look. That is when I saw them. Beneath the surface, just visible in the early morning light, there were people, dozens of them, suspended in the water, their bodies held in perfect meditative poses. Some were sitting in lotus position. Some were in tree pose, balanced impossibly underwater. Some were in shavasana, floating face up, eyes closed, expressions peaceful. They were translucent, like the woman on the shore. I could see through them to the sand and rocks below. Their hair moved with the current. Their clothes, some wore modern yoga clothes, others wore things from different eras. Bathing costumes from the 1920s, traditional Thai dress, even what looked like Victorian-era clothing. Among them I recognized Camila. her blonde hair floating around her face like a halo. She was in Warrior 3. One leg extended behind her, arms reaching forward. Perfectly balanced, even though she was underwater, even though she had been dead for 2 weeks. Her eyes were open, empty, smiling. I stumbled backward. My foot slipped on the wet rock. I went down hard, my knee cracking against stone. The pain was sharp and immediate and real, and it broke whatever spell had been holding me. I looked back at the woman in white. She was closer now, much closer, standing at the base of the rocks, looking up at me. And I could see her face clearly now, could see every detail. It was my face. Not similar, not like we could be sisters. It was exactly my face, my features, my birthmark on my left cheek. But empty, hollow, like someone had taken a photograph of me and cut out the eyes. She spoke. Her mouth moved, but the sound came from everywhere, from the humming itself, from the rocks and the water and the air. You wanted peace. You wanted to be seen. We see you now. We are all at peace here. I did not wait to hear more. I ran, left my phone, left my tripod, left everything. I ran across those rocks, slipping and sliding, my knees screaming. I ran across the beach, my breath coming in sobs. I did not stop running until I was back in my hotel room, with the door locked and all the curtains closed. I sat on the floor, shaking, for what felt like hours. Maybe it was hours. Time felt strange. When I finally checked my watch, it was 2 in the afternoon. I had left the beach at 6 in the morning. 8 hours. Where had 8 hours gone? I looked down at my hands. They were covered in sand and salt. My knee was bleeding, my yoga pants torn, but I could not remember falling. I could only remember running. My phone buzzed. A notification. Someone had tagged me in a post. It was a screenshot of an Instagram Live, my Instagram Live. The timestamp said I had been streaming for 6 hours. 6 hours of me on those rocks doing yoga, never stopping, never speaking. Just moving through poses with that same empty smile I had seen on the faces underwater. But I had not started a live. I had just been recording to my camera roll. I opened my Instagram. The live had ended, but it had been saved to my highlights against my will. I played it. For 6 hours I watched myself practice. Except it was not quite me. The movements were too smooth, too perfect. The transitions too fluid. And my face was peaceful in a way that looked wrong. Empty. In the background, just visible in some shots. The woman in white stood in the surf, watching, waiting. The comments on the video were disturbing, hundreds of them. Are you okay? Your eyes look strange. Why do you look so sad? This does not feel right. Someone check on her. But there were other comments, too. Older accounts, some with profile pictures from decades ago that looked like they had been scanned from photographs. All saying the same thing. Join us. The practice never ends. Peace is waiting. Come back to the water. I deleted the live. It reappeared immediately. I deleted it again. Again it came back. I tried to delete my entire account. The app crashed when I reopened it. Everything was still there. I searched for information about the beach, about the rocks, about what had happened to Camila. That is when I found the others. 15 people over 30 years. All practitioners, yoga teachers, meditation instructors, spiritual seekers. All had come to those rocks. All had disappeared. Some bodies were found eventually, washed up on distant shores. Weeks or months later. Others were never found at all. But all of them had one thing in common. In the days before they disappeared, they had posted content from those rocks. Photos, videos, lives, and in every single post, if you looked carefully in the background, you could see figures in the water. Translucent bodies in meditative poses. Local legends called them the Phythale water spirits. But the stories were not consistent. Some said they were guardians. Others said they were collectors. All agreed on one thing. The rocks were sacred. A thin place where the boundary between worlds grew permeable. And those who practiced there without proper respect, without humility, without understanding what they were tapping into, they were claimed. That night, I tried to leave. I packed my bags, booked a flight for the next morning, called a taxi for 4 a.m. I was getting out of Thailand. I was going home. I was never doing yoga near water again. I went to bed early, exhausted, my knee throbbing. I set 3 alarms. I woke up on the rocks. It was just before dawn. I was in downward dog, my hands flat on the stone, the humming vibrating through my bones. I was wearing my yoga clothes even though I had gone to bed in pajamas. My feet were bare and sandy. My phone was in my hand, recording. I tried to move, could not. My body was locked in position, my muscles refusing to obey. The humming grew louder, filling my head, my chest, my entire being. I could feel myself dissolving into it, becoming part of it. In the water, the translucent figures were rising, moving closer to shore. The woman in white stood at the edge of the rocks, reaching for me, her empty eyes reflecting nothing. "Join us," she said with my voice. "Your practice is incomplete. We will perfect it. We will make it eternal." I looked down at my hands. I could see through them, just slightly, just at the edges, but I could see the rock beneath my translucent fingers. Terror finally broke through whatever hold the place had on me. I screamed, actually screamed, raw and loud and ugly. Not a yoga teacher scream, not a controlled breath, a primal scream of pure animal fear. The sky flashed, lightning, even though there were no clouds. It struck the water 20 feet from shore, and the translucent figures scattered like fish, and the woman in white recoiled. The humming fractured into discord. I could move again. I stumbled forward and my hand came down hard on a sharp edge of rock. Pain lanced through my palm. Blood welled up, bright red, real and solid, and mine. It splattered on the stone. The humming stopped. The woman in white was gone. The figures in the water had vanished. I was alone on the rocks, bleeding, crying, but solid, real. I ran again. This time I did not stop at the hotel. I went straight to the airport, covered in blood and sand, barefoot, still wearing yoga clothes. I bought a ticket on the next flight anywhere. I did not care where. Just away. The ticket agent looked at me like I was insane. Maybe I was. Maybe I am. I flew to Bangkok. Then Singapore. Then finally home. And I did not sleep on the flights. I was afraid if I closed my eyes, I would wake up on those rocks again. When I got home, I deleted everything. My Instagram, my YouTube, my website, all of it. I threw away my yoga mat, my blocks, my straps. I deleted every photo of myself practicing. I cut ties with everyone in the wellness community. I thought that would be the end of it. It was not. It has been 3 months now. I work in data entry. I live alone. I do not practice yoga. I do not meditate. I barely go outside. But the humming never stops. It is quieter now, just at the edge of hearing. But it is always there. At night, it grows louder. And sometimes, late at night, my body moves without permission. I wake up in poses, downward dog, warrior two, tree pose, always facing east, always facing Thailand, always facing that beach, those rocks, that water. And when I do sleep, I dream. I dream of being underwater, surrounded by all those peaceful faces. I dream of perfect stillness, of eternal practice, of finally being at peace. Part of me wants it. That is the worst part. Part of me wants to go back. Last week I found plane tickets in my browser history. Bangkok, Koh Samui, departure date next month. I did not search for them. I did not book them. But there they were. I cleared my browsing data. The next day, the tickets were saved to my email. A confirmation I did not authorize from a card I did not use. 2 days ago, I woke up with sand in my bed again and salt water in my mouth, and the taste of incense on my tongue. I'm running out of time. I can feel the hook still in me, the connection still there, pulling tighter each day. The lightning bought me time, the blood broke the immediate hold, but it did not sever the connection completely. They are patient. They have been collecting for a very long time. What is 3 months to something eternal? So, I am telling you this, not as content, not for engagement, but as a real warning from someone who is losing the fight. If you practice yoga, if you meditate, if you seek enlightenment or peace or connection to something greater, be careful where you do it. Some places are sacred not because they are safe, but because they are powerful. And power without respect is dangerous. Do not go to Lion Beach and Koh Samui. Do not practice on those rocks. If you see offerings, if you hear humming, if you feel the temperature drop, leave, run. Do not look back. And if you see a woman in white doing perfect poses in the surf, if you see faces beneath the water, peaceful and smiling and empty, do not join them, no matter how beautiful it looks, no matter how peaceful they seem, no matter how much your soul craves that stillness, because they are not at peace. They are collected. They are kept. They are feeding something far older than any practice we think we invented. Something that has been waiting in sacred waters since long before we had names for yoga, or meditation, or enlightenment. I thought I was seeking peace. I thought I was teaching others to find it. But peace is not something you chase. It is not content. It is not viral. It is not something you take from sacred places without understanding what you are taking from. Real peace requires humility, respect, the understanding that some places, some practices, some connections are not meant to be captured on camera and shared with 50,000 strangers. Some things are sacred because they should remain sacred. I learned that too late. I can feel it pulling at me now. As I type this, the urge to book that flight, to go back, to finish what I started, to finally be at peace. I am going to fight it as long as I can, but I do not know if I will win. If you see content from Lion Beach, if you see a woman practicing yoga on those rocks, her movements too perfect, her eyes too empty, if you see me there, do not try to save me. Do not come to that place. Just turn away. Just keep scrolling. And whatever you do, do not join the practice, Because the water is waiting and it never lets go.